Welcome back to The Man That Can with Lachlan Stuart. I'm very excited, and this one has been a couple of months in the making. Our guest today, we've got Lucch or Mark Lucchiari on the show, who has got an incredible story to tell. So much so that there's a documentary coming out soon, which you'll be able to get your hands on, and one that I know my audience will get so much out of. And the documentary is going to be called Impact. Now, what I'm very excited about today, Lucch, is obviously yourself and your, I guess, co-partner in the documentary, Ben. I'll be chatting to him after this, and then we'll do a double up episode in a couple of months' time where you guys who are listening will be able to ask questions, or, if you want to dig a little bit deeper and maybe I missed some questions that are on your mind, we'll be able to hit Mark and Ben at the same time as well with those. But Mark, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm being frothing for this one. It's we had a good chat, a few months ago, and I loved your game plan of splitting us up, and yeah, I'm excited to have this chat.
Mate, yeah, definitely. It's going to be fun, and it's such a unique, I think even for me, being able to, I watched a lot of your content, and I'll put your Instagram page and all of that in the show notes for people to watch. But I watch a lot of people jumping out of planes, which is something that you do. You're an, adventurer, you're a thrill seeker, and I just get so inspired by it. But I wouldn't have the balls to continue doing it. I've done 2 jumps in my life out of a plane, and I think I'm more comfortable with my feet on the ground. That's for sure. But you've got a pretty wild story, and one that I'm keen to dive into here. But obviously, as we said, you've got a diverse background in adventuring, from wakeboarding to Muay Thai to skydiving, and obviously a business owner and entrepreneur. Before we dive in, I would like you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Got me talking about myself. All right. How long have we got?
Yeah, well, we got 5 hours there. Joe Rogan special.
Mate, look, I don't know. To me, I feel like I'm just a simple man. I'm, but yeah, I am driven. I guess I'm driven to live life to the fullest. I think this all stems, like I lost my dad when I was really young. So I had a kind of, pretty big taste of death and loss and tragedy and trauma, and literally shaped me to be the man I am. And yeah, I guess it just made me really appreciate what life is, and that we need to live it to the fullest. I'm a family man. I become a dad quite young, at 19 years old, and yeah, I really pride myself, with my family and being the dad to my boys that I never had. That's so important to me, and just making the most of this time that we have here, which is literally that, and as you're just saying about, jumping out of planes and all that stuff makes you uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable too, and that's what I enjoy. I love being uncomfortable. I don't like being, what scares me the most in this world is normality.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me in a nutshell, mate. Pretty much.
I can definitely relate there, but let's go back. So you touched on your dad, and obviously wanting to become a father and a man that you didn't have. Can we go back to that relationship? Because I know you did move from Melbourne, I think it was, up to the Gold Coast at a young age, and there was obviously reasons behind that. Could we dive into that?
Yeah. So yeah, look, my dad, was a violent man, and he had a lot of issues himself, and yeah, he ended up taking his own life when I was I just turned 6. I think we just moved. We moved up. We were kind of like I said, very violent, and we were trying to escape him. We were living in refuges and stuff like that, and we were running away, and we were moving up to the coast, and yeah, it all got a bit too much for him, and sadly he took his own life, and yeah, kind of left my mum with myself and my sister up here and to fend for herself, and like, man, what a woman she is, and bringing especially me up. But yeah, it kind of like it literally just it shaped everything, every part of my life and every aspect of it too, from the smallest little details of getting pretty deep and sad here is, he committed suicide with a photo of myself and my sister beside him, and all those little details, everything, has made me to be the man I am today, and the father I am to my kids. And as much as most boys want a dad, like I still to this day, even though he wasn't a good man and had his issues, his memory to me is frozen as a 6-year-old kid. He was my hero, and that's all I've ever wanted. But I would never change anything in saying that, because literally every detail of this tragedy has shaped me to be who I am today. The guy sitting in front of you right now. So
It's thanks for sharing that, and obviously sorry for your loss there. A lot of men listening to this, I know, will definitely relate, because even for myself, and a lot of people, we all idolize our dad. Doesn't matter how they're showing up in our life. For some reason, we're gravitated to them just being like this Superman in our life. As you said, he wasn't the best, but there's still something that you just wanted him around and you wanted to aspire to impress him. And I think, I don't really know why that is. And one of the beautiful things about what you've gone on to do is continue to build upon that. There's people who potentially repeat the pattern and maybe treat others in a terrible manner and almost are like a victim from their circumstances. But you've chosen to use that moment in your life to go, this is how I don't want to be, and move forward.
And look, it wasn't always like that either. I was playing the victim. I was using it as an excuse. When I was younger, I was getting in a lot of trouble. I kind of repelled against men. I was a pretty big young fella, and I was going out and I was looking to get in fights. I just loved. I guess I seen myself as a bully basher. I used to just go out, find trouble, and
Yep.
punch on. And I was using it as an excuse for all the bad things that happened to me in life, and it kind of, I think it was about 23 or 24, and I had this realization that it was me causing all the bad things, and not to use this tragedy that happened to me as an excuse, to actually use it as motivation. And that's what I did from that moment on. Kind of turned that around and said, "Fuck this! I'm not going to play the victim. I'm going to use this as motivation to become a better human." And that was a massive turning point for me. So it wasn't always roses and sunshine.
Yeah. I was going to say, for those who and I said this to you when we first met, I'm like, you got a big beard, you're a solidly built bloke. And then obviously reading your history as a top level Muay Thai fighter, I'm like, man, this guy is someone that I would not want to piss off, but you've learned to channel that. And I'd love to know, was there like a specific moment along the way that triggered you to, or encouraged you to want to be that best version of yourself and really turn things around? Because for me, I'm always very curious around what that moment is for people. We talk about rock bottoms and everything like that. And there's some people who just never seem to claw their way out of that, I guess, dark place. They just choose to wallow in that. And I'm a big believer that all of us, through, I guess, pushing through tough moments, can find purpose and can find meaning in our life. And I would love to know what that was like for you.
Yeah, well, look, I think it was as I was mentioning, about 23. Like, my wife and I, we got together when we were 19. We've actually known each other since year 6
Mate,
primary
that's like
school.
the full Notebook style love right there.
Year 6. I literally remember the moment she walked into my life. She's a Māori girl, and we're here on the Gold Coast, and she came into the classroom in year 6, and she just was so different compared to everyone else, and just had this presence. And I literally remember the first moment I ever seen her. Like, it's crazy. But we kind of got together after high school, and we'd only been together for 9 months or something like that. And I was actually about to move over to Canada and do the whole thing over there, as a lot of the young Aussie boys do, and do the snow season. And she fell pregnant, and I was like, wow, that's it. Like, here I am. I'm not going to leave this this kid without a father. I'm going to man up, and we were going strong. But I was, back in that time, I was drinking. I was aggressive. I was still using stuff as using what happened to me as an excuse. And we actually were about to break up, and we went and seen a marriage counsellor, and it was we went in and I've seen the marriage counsellor for our relationship, but the counsellor said to me, it was a man, and he was like, as we're walking out, he's like, "Hey mate, you've had a bit go on in your life, like obviously because he touched on my dad and all that stuff, and he's like, I'd like to have a chat with you, like come in and have a chat." And I did. I went back like a few weeks later, and it was the first time that I actually listened to a man, or had a man listen to me and actually listen, not tell me what to do, or tell me how I should be. He was like, "Man, you've had a hard life, And then he said, he goes, "But you can't move forward if you're living in the past and blaming all this stuff." He's like, "You'll never be able to take a step forward." And I literally walked out of there, fucking like the world had lifted off my shoulders. I was just like, wow, this is it. That was the moment of change. And it didn't happen instantly, like I went through these ups and downs, but that was it. That was the moment for me. I had someone just tell me like, "Hey man, it's all right. Like you're not suffering this by yourself. Other people feel like this." And it was, the first time, like I said, first time I'd respected a man, I guess. Because as I was saying, I was a man hater, like I just rebelled against that authority of a man or anything like that, and yeah, it was a real defining moment in my life.
What was it about him that allowed you to let the guard down and allowed you to listen?
Man, he was just a caring, beautiful man. It was just, I don't know what it was. I was so young, but it was the first time I actually did let my guard down, and I remember crying in there, and like, as I was going right back to when my dad passed away, at my dad's funeral, I can't even remember who it was, and I've tried to find out who it was. It was one of my uncles said to me, he's like, "You're the man of this family now. Don't you ever let another man tell you different." And that was like, so I was always like, I'm never going to, from a 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid, and I think that was the first time with this counsellor that I actually had listened to a man and respected what he said. And yeah, it was so nice to have someone care about a man care about me, and like, look, like my mum had, boyfriends and stuff like that, and they were awesome and stuff like that. But I just always still rebelled and never, I was the man of the family. I was told that when I was young, and so this is the first time I listened to a man, and I had a man listen to me.
Do you think there could have been anything that anyone could have said during that period of time? And I'm just thinking from like parents who are listening to this perspective. Would there have been anything your mum could have said or other influences in your life that would have helped you earlier, or do you think it was like a divine timing?
It was divine timing. Like I said, my mum did amazing. Like she's a superwoman, but it's just something she just couldn't replace. She couldn't be that person that I needed. I needed a man. I needed a father figure, I guess. And that was the first father figure that I accepted, I suppose, was that guy. I only met him once, that was it after that session.
Really?
We never went back. Yeah, me and the missus were fine. And, because I'd actually changed. I was like, man, I got to stop partying and drinking and be the dad to my son that I wanted, because I was about to lose all that. We were about to break up, and I was like, man, I'm not losing this. This is what I everything that goes against what I wanted, as a father to my son.
And when you talk about like becoming that father to your son that you wanted or needed, how did you get clear on what that was? I know you mentioned cutting out drinking and partying and things like that, but were there any other things that spring to mind that you really just shifted in an instant to be that better father and that better husband?
Man, look, I didn't even know what a dad was meant to be. So I just or what a partner was meant to be. All I'd seen was violence with my mum. Even the ongoing the boyfriends after that was just violence, and I just knew I didn't want to be that. I was like, there's no fucking way I'm putting my wife through that or my son through that either. I just knew that time. I straight away. I was working for someone. I'm did my plumbing trade when I was really young. I was working for someone. I remember a sports day or something. I wanted to have the day off, and he said the boss said no, and I was like, what? Like, no, man, like you don't get that sports day back. What if my son won or what? You know, he just had like, I wanted to see him. I didn't care if he lost. I wanted to see him run that race, you know?
Yep.
I was like, that's it. I'm working for myself. Like, I'm never having anyone tell me I can't go to my kids' assembly or whatever it is, you know? So, yeah, I just knew time because I had no time with my dad. You know, so I was going to have the time, like as much time as I can with my kids. And like I said, I just winged it, man. I don't know. I just be real. Be real with my kids. They know everything about me. They know my bad past. I don't sugarcoat anything. And they're two of the most beautiful men I've ever met, you know. So something's worked. I don't know, what it is. Something's worked, eh?
Well, I think one of the cool things that jumped out for me just then was when you didn't necessarily know what a real dad looked like or that father figure was like, you just had ideas of what you didn't want. And I think that's a great place to start because quite often if we go, I don't want that, for example, I don't want to be broke or I don't want to be aggressive or whatever it is, we just go, what's the flip of that? Let's just work towards that. It gives us a bit of direction. And none of us really know until we start getting feedback. As you just said, Lucch, you've got two beautiful children now, and you're like, you have an idea of how that turned out, but you know, you did a great job. And I believe personally that transparency and almost, you know, raising your kids with discipline and great values, but also allowing them to get to know you, because going back to what we were talking about earlier, a lot of young boys, especially, and young men, we just see our parents and our dads, especially, as like superhuman. Yet your dad was obviously dealing with stuff. You know, everyone's dads or parents are going through things. And if we can sort of share that within the family, we can go, okay, my parents aren't perfect. I don't need to be perfect either, but let's all work through this together. And we start learning problem solving from an earlier age. We start learning emotional intelligence from an earlier age. And I think from what you've just told me, I feel like there's some key things that I'm going to take away and look to implement into my life.
Yeah, 100%. And the big thing, like as well, is like I thought men were superheroes, and then when I started having my own issues, that's when I thought like, oh, am I weak? Am I different? And that was the big, misconception about men. It was like men can be vulnerable, and I never knew that. It's only been the last 6 or so years, that I had truly become myself, who's a vulnerable man, who is emotional, and who wears my heart on my sleeve, and I'm not shy to show that now. And that's, I feel, as you said before, I'm a pretty big guy and tattooed and beard, and can fight, and a lot of people see that as what a strong man is, but that is total opposite. A strong man is a man who is in touch with his emotions and his soul and can show that and be vulnerable and be humble. And, that's what a strong man is. And I think that is changing a lot these days. I think people are starting to get educated to that. Like I said, it took me a long time. I thought that was weakness, for a long time. But now I see it that is strength.
Massively. And you're 45 now. Yeah, so that would have been like 39, right? For you to start making that changes. So it also proves that it doesn't matter what age we are, we can really start making changes. When you started to lean into that side of I guess, a more vulnerable version of yourself, did you experience any pushback from people in your social circle around any of that, or were they extremely supportive?
I'm very lucky, extremely supportive. Look, I know a few people probably like not close friends might have been saying
Yep.
a few things, but like no, my wife is like she allows me to be who I am and loves me for who I am, and she's helped me grow so much into this man. My children as well, my boys, just they love the vulnerability of me as well. I'm sure that my emotions gets them a little bit. I'm a pretty intense guy.
Yeah.
Poor bastards, but yeah, man. And the other big thing too was I really just didn't give a fuck anymore what people thought of me. That was the whole thing, which just released that. It was like, man, I know who I am. Like, I
Mm.
truly know who I am inside, and I know my purpose now. And a lot of people don't get to know that, man. A lot of people go through their whole life pretending to be someone that they're not, or pretending to be that, like scared of becoming the real who they really are.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate that I've discovered who I really am, and I'm accepting it. And it still is hard. Like, it's still sometimes I try to pretend to be the person I'm not as well to fit in or something. Like even in the big corporate world and stuff like that, I try to be a bit smarter than I think I am.
Yeah. I'm guilty of that as well.
Yeah, mate. It's just like, I don't know. Yeah, but and we get, with all social media and all everyone's lives look perfect and that around you, it's hard, to actually be who you are. And yeah, it's something I still struggle with, but it's something I work on daily, and I'm evolving every day, and I'm loving as I'm getting older, man, and being content with who I am. Like, I remember turning 40, and most of my mates were like, 40. And I was like, I hit 40. I was like, well, I'm frothing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm content with who I am. My relationship's amazing. My kids are amazing. I'm financially, doing well. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. I bring on 50. This is what 40's like. Let's go.
And it's there's so much strength that comes from that. And for me, very similar to probably what other people said, it's like when I thought I got to 30, I thought life was pretty much done. The best years are behind you. And people like yourself and many other role models that I have in my life are inspiring me that we're just beginning. Like, emotionally, we're able to learn so much more. Physically, we're still capable of so much more, which is exciting. But for you to have the strength to lean into who you are, I do truly believe that a lot of people know what they want to be and who they want to be. But the fear of isolation, the fear of failure, just fear in general holds many of us back from actually exploring that. And I just know from a young age, I had an idea of what I wanted to be doing, which I'm doing a lot of now, but could have started 15 years earlier, right? But eventually you get to a point, or not everyone does, unfortunately, but I got to a point much like yourself where you just get fed up with the same shit and not being your authentic self. And once you start you do have this period where it's very uncomfortable and you're figuring things out. Maybe you're changing social circles, but eventually you figure it out and find it. And it's hard not to want to embrace that anymore. Like, you just want to lean into who you are, and life just skyrockets. It's like watching some bloody meme coin in crypto space just go from 0 to 1 million just like that. Like, that's what life's like. And it's a beautiful thing. So what you've shown is like this incredible inner strength to really embody who you are. And I just really hope, to the fathers that are listening to this, to the young men that are listening to this, is it's possible for anyone. And it may not be perfect, but it's possible. And you're working at it still daily. I'm working at it still daily. What would be some things, Lucch, that you're doing in those daily things that help you become a better version of yourself?
Yeah, like I've got a pretty strict routine with mindfulness, and like I do breath work every morning. It's something, I don't know, I've probably been doing for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, probably now more so. I'm doing it more so even now.
Yep.
Just being present, not being on my phone as much, just trying to be that, like I said, being mindful and being kind to myself, forgiving, like I'm very hard on myself, being very competitive, and just accepting myself for who I am, and giving myself self-love. And that's, with my breath work, I do a lot of affirmations, and it's daily. Like, sometimes I'm cruising through life, and then other times I'm literally doing breath work twice a day, like affirmations nearly all day. And
Yeah.
just
Help.
being aware, I suppose, of your thoughts. It's so easy to get distracted with, work, with sports, with, alcohol, all these outside, things that can distract you from actually being present with yourself. So I've discovered that, and just I enjoy being by myself now, where I never used to, and I enjoy hiking by myself and just being out in the mountains by myself. And just, also just like obviously keeping fit, training, eating healthy, all these things that are cliche and everyone kind of knows, but it really freaking works,
Mm.
like It
For sure.
really does. And they all not just one, you can't be doing breath work and eating like crap and drinking every night. 1+1 = 2. You've got to put these things together, and the more you put together, the better you're going to be feeling, and easier life's going to be.
And that reflection piece you speak of is so powerful, and it's why a lot of the time I'll get people to introduce themselves, even though I've got a iPad full of notes, because often how people introduce themselves is the image that they have of themselves. And one of the biggest challenges I have when introducing myself is sort of looking at some of the accolades that I've got, because I don't want to come across as arrogant or whatever. And a lot of the work that I have to do on myself is overcoming the self-doubt, but also accepting that I have done some cool things. And whether it's the Australian culture that sort of makes us sort of keep that behind closed doors a little bit, but the more you can start to embrace that and embody that, the more confident we become as individuals, as parents, partners, business owners, whatever it is, and that brings on the best version of ourselves. And it comes back to, I guess, things that you do with your breath work and the affirmations. We're just reprogramming or almost guiding how we want to think about ourselves and how we want to think about our reality and the future that's to come. And man, I used to think it was bullshit for so many years. Like I just thought it was like put on your yoga pants, go smoke a joint, and that's kumbaya sort of stuff. But now I've really got into it, and it's transformed my life massively.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, that, isn't it? I don't know whether we're programmed to think like that, because it does free you, and without going down the conspiracy theorist side of things, of being
Yeah.
part of the system, because I
Yep.
find it does break you free, and I don't know whether it's yeah, and I am finding a lot of my younger friends, a lot of the younger athletes are doing ice baths and breath work, and way different than when we were,
For
and I remember
sure.
when we were athletes back in the day of just partying and just sending it, not
Yep.
looking after yourself as well as we do these days. But yeah, it is a strange thing, is why we find it hard to talk about ourselves and stuff or like I said, even when you asked me, you stumped me at the start. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm just this simple kind of guy, and
Yeah. Yeah, but I've got a bio written that would impress people all over the world about you.
yeah, and it's hard to even remember that too. I just got back from holiday and just been away for 3.5 weeks in Europe and had the most epic time. And I was coming back and I started getting those depressions coming back. I'm like, the fuck am I getting depressed about? I'm going back to the most incredible life. Like, why does it have to end? Like, just because I've been
Mm.
on holiday, why does I have to have this thing set in my mind? Like, when I'm flying back, as soon as I land, I'm back at work and I'm back into this boring life. I'm like, my life's not boring. It's freaking amazing. Like, why am I getting these feelings? And
Yeah.
man, it's crazy. Our minds are crazy things. Hey, it really is.
Why do you feel you do have that period? Because I've I experience I travel a fair bit as well, so I know exactly what you mean when you're talking about that, and I have my thoughts and ideas, but I'd love to know if you've thought about that at all.
Yeah, mate. I've it's just especially the last few days. I've been really like, why is it? And I think it's just my own perception. Like, I've put an ending on something. Something's got to finish and something's got to start. Even like I have trouble with Mondays because I'm working during the week, and my weekend I'm jumping most weekends we'll go surfing in the morning, skydiving after that, and then I'll go for a climb, and I'll do that Saturday and
That's
Sunday,
so
or
wicked.
hike, and we'll have beers, and it's like just have the most intense weekend, and then Monday it's like, okay, that's over now. Now I'm back starting work again, and I have this final fun, and then the fun stuff's finished, and now I've got to go to work, and it's just a perception. It really is the way you perceive things, and instead of looking at work as all Monday as like, oh, here we are starting the week again. It should be like, fuck yeah, let's go, let's attack the
Yeah.
week, and let's get this, and let's improve myself again, and this is a new beginning, or it's just a continuation on from Sunday to Monday. It's just, why is there an end? I don't know. I'm still figuring this one out,
Well,
mate.
yeah, it's interesting to think about because I hadn't really thought about perception, but I definitely agree. Like, even if this is really weird. For me, I was thinking like, oh, is it my ability to deal with change, or even though I've chosen the change, or I'm flying into a new city, or we're crossing time zones, or someone else, I'm going to a dinner party or whatever it is. It's just like I'm out of my routine and I'm very uncomfortable, and I take a little bit to settle in. But it's also what you said. It's like life is just this long marathon. Why does it need to be a start and a stop? And I know people talk about beginnings and ends, and one end leads to the new beginning. I get that. But if we just looked at it as like one big, beautiful story where this part's allowing me to do that part, and it's also like helping you manage your energy. Because if you were jumping out of, I don't know, actually, I could be assuming here, but if you were jumping out of planes every day, surfing every day, drinking beers every day, wouldn't you then start to take that for granted, and would it lose its appeal? Do you feel?
Yeah, I think everything loses its appeal when you do it too much, doesn't it? It doesn't matter how
Yeah.
fun it is, I guess. And that's, I guess, that's the beauty of humans is we always got to keep. Well, I know myself, I'm never satisfied. That's why I've done. I guess I've done so many sports. Of wakeboarding and of football to start off with, and wakeboarding, and always love those new challenges. I think humans just love challenging themselves, and that's why we've spread ourselves across this globe and do so many different things. I guess and invent so many different
Yeah.
things. It's yeah.
But what do you feel? And I want to dive into what happened in 2021 in a moment. But just before we do, what do you feel it is about you that has enabled you to be a top level wakeboarder? Like, if anyone hasn't tried wakeboarding, that shit's hard. An Australian champion Muay Thai fighter, and once again, if anyone hasn't done Muay Thai, brutal. And then also skydiving and base jumping and all the crazy shit that you do now. Like, how have you been able to just become elite at everything that you do?
Hard work. I'm not talented in anything. And just proving myself wrong, my doubt wrong. Like I think it all stems from being that young man losing his dad and having self doubt and having all this told that I can't do this and can't do that. I just love challenging myself, and when I do something, I just commit to it 100%. And that's what I just try to instill in my kids and my friends and my family around me. I love pushing my limits, and I love pushing the people's around me's limits as well. Like humans, we don't understand how powerful we are and how much we can actually do and achieve. And like I said, we get comfortable, and I don't like being comfortable, so I just push myself to the max. I guess, yeah, just determination to not be normal. Like I said, the thing that scares me in life is normality, and I just don't want to be normal, so I just drive myself to my limits of everything I do.
I love it, man. And I'm with you. I don't want to be normal as well. I observe what is normal, and it doesn't appeal to me at all. There's not one part that I'm like, apart from maybe the security of it, or like it's not even secure, but like the routine of it. Maybe sometimes that's nice, but aside from that, I look at it, I'm like, nah, that's not for me, and I'll do whatever I need to stay as far away from that as possible. But Luch, let's talk about January 14, 2021.
Yeah, what a day! What a day, mate. Yeah. Where do you want to start with it? What do you?
Give people a rundown on what happened on that day.
Mate, well, I was in the wrong place at the right time, is what's happened. Yeah, look, it was just it was a big skydiving weekend down at Byron Bay. We had these things called boogies where we all get together and we just jump all day. There'll be they'll have coaches and it's like an organised event. And yeah, then we party at night, and it's just having good times. And it was the Saturday, the first day of the event, and we jumped all day with and at the end of the day, we wanted to do this big sunset jump and what it's called a big way, where there was when we jump, it depends on what style of jumping you're doing, but we usually jump in groups of 3 to kind of 5 of us. We all fly these formations, and a big way is when we have pretty much the whole plane full. There was, I think, 17 of us on the jump, and we're doing what's called a big way angle, where we all fly across the sky in like a formation. So, a lot of people see skydiving, you're just falling belly to earth,
Yep.
just flat down. But we can actually move and track across the sky. And that's what we were doing. We're flying this formation. You have some people on their back, some people on their belly. We all have our slots, what we call slots as our positions. And yeah, we were just another big wave at the end of the day. And yeah, one of the boys just made a mistake, mistimed his approach to the formation. Benny, he was the last diver out of the plane. And as you can imagine, by the time the first guys leave the plane, and the last guy leaves the plane, it's a long distance between them. So the last guy's got to dive down to the group. So he goes in what's called like a dive. So he presents less of his body to the wind, which makes him fall faster. If we're falling like this and he's falling head down, he's going to fall a lot faster than we are. So he just come flying through the group and kneed me in the back of the head and took me out and completely KO'd me. And as he did that, he's absolutely shattered his knee. Like his knee literally exploded on the back of my head. And I was falling towards the earth, unconscious. I did start coming to, but I was so out of it. Like it was actually out of my 43 fights that I've had, and I've lost a few from being knocked down and stuff. I've never been knocked out cold. So this was the first time I'd actually been completely knocked out cold in my life.
Took someone's knee exploding to do so.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it was, lucky I've got a hard head. A bit more skull than brain, I guess. But, yeah, mate, look, I was knocked out, falling towards the earth, and a safety device we have on our parachute saved my life. Literally meters from the ground. I did actually start coming to and I was still very I guess dazed, but was starting to process what was going on. And
were you just like spinning out of control, or were you just sort of like still in free fall, or how is it that from what people have told you or the footage?
So at first I was like just like a dead body, just dead weight falling. And then I started coming to, and then I was flipping onto my belly and I was moving around. So I was out of control, flipping around and kind of not very stable. And then like I was belly to earth. So my mind was starting to work to fall, it's because it's not easy to fall belly to earth. A lot of people think that's just how you fall, but you don't, and so my mind was starting to work. I even started trying to do my emergency procedures, but didn't finish them off. And I did start getting a realization that like, hang on, I'm about to go in, and that term in skydiving, going in, means I'm about to die. And I didn't know what happened. I just knew I was about to die, and I was like, oh man, this is it. This is it. It's over. And I kind of thought about my wife and my kids, and I kind of nearly gave in for a second. I was like, oh, this is it, And then I was like, oh, hang on. And like I said, my mind was still trying to work out what was going on. And I thought my emergency procedures mustn't have worked. I remember trying to reach up and grab my parachute and try and do something. I don't know what the hell I was trying to do. I was just trying to do something. But, and then this safety device that we have, it fired, and my canopy opened.
Holy shit!
I really did I thought it was it. I was as close to death as you can get. It was literally seconds from hitting the ground. So she was a pretty wild ride.
I don't want to I want to dive into more of that when we've got Ben on, but I'd love to know when you're faced with death. You mentioned thinking about your family. Was there any, from that life experience now, is there anything that you've changed in your life as a result of that?
Yeah, 100%. Look, like I said, I've always lived life pretty at the fullest, what I thought the fullest, and chasing my passions and whatnot. But what it did made me realise, I kind of reflected on a lot of things about life. Like, why am I here? I should be dead. I'm like, why aren't I? What is my purpose? and yeah, it just made me reflect, and it made me think what matters the most to me. Obviously, my family, spending time with my family, and one of the big things that resonated with me and that I realized was that my purpose is to help out and give back, and I've suffered all these tragedies and traumatic incidences and stuff like that to give me the strength and the knowledge and the power to help out and give back, and whether it be one or some small conversation with someone, this podcast here, someone gets inspired by it. Yeah, it really just made me chase my passion of helping out and giving back, creating give and get, which is we've developing technology to put money into charities, help mentoring younger men even more so than what I kind of was, just follow my passions more. And just, we touched a little bit on it before about not doing stuff because I'm scared of it, where we don't do stuff in life because you're fearful of it or you're worried about what someone thinks. And that really, like I said, I don't care what people think now. I know who I am. I know my purpose on life. My purpose is to be kind to people and to help humans out and do my part and leave my impact. Little segue to the title.
Yeah, little segue.
And man, this is only the beginning too. I don't know where this is going to go. Me and Benny have been talking about it, of maybe starting the Impact Men's group, and this is my passion. This is what I'm here for, and I just, it makes me tick, and like jumping out of planes and all that stuff is amazing and fun, and it does give me that, that rush. But helping someone out, putting a smile on someone's face, giving a friend a hug, whatever it is really what freaking life's about,
Well, it's probably no different, right? To jumping out of a plane by yourself, it's a fulfilling memory for you. But if you jump out of a plane with some buddies and all can reminisce on that when you're older as well, like it's so much more meaningful. And I think life is meant to be shared. As much as some of us, people have social anxiety, or we don't know how to communicate well, or we aren't being our honest self or our true self, so to speak. If we can move towards that, like, life's only going to be that much richer, because there are going to be people out there who just go, that's my dude, or that's my chick. Like, I vibe with those people, and they're the people that I want to, spend my life making memories with.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Like you said, it did really make me be comfortable with myself. Like, life is like, it just reminded me, like, holy shit, this things can be done like that. Like, what am I wasting time pretending to be someone I'm not? Or what am I wasting time doing something that doesn't benefit myself or my family or my friends or the people around me? So now I'm just really conscious of just being a good human, I guess. And, following that passion.
It's awesome. And if people have not been inspired listening just yet, I don't know what it's going to take to help you guys get your ass into gear and chase the life that you want. But let's talk about the documentary, Impact. So it's going to be coming out soon. You've got a premiere coming up, which will be awesome. But where will people, well, firstly, before we find out where people will be able to watch it and get inspired by it, give us a bit of a rundown on what it's about, why you decided to make it.
Yeah, so the film, it was about a year or so after the accident. Me and Benny were just talking about, like, we hadn't showed many people the footage. We didn't know what we're going to do with it. We had no idea. We just, Benny was pretty banged up. I was, realizing, all the new things in life for myself. And we were just talking about what we should do, and we should maybe put the footage out there to help educate the skydivers from what can happen. And then, like, Benny was really struggling. I don't want to speak for him, but he was starting to really struggle, coming to terms with the accident, his injury and all that. And the more we talked to people, the more people got inspired by the little story of the friendship me and Benny generated after it. And, I was like, wow, we've got something here. We've got a story. Like, what I said to Benny is, like, we're just ordinary people with an extraordinary story, that needs to be told. And so we started putting it together. We didn't even know what we were making. It wasn't like looking at making a documentary, a full feature documentary, and just kept evolving. And it's got to where it is now, and it's been circulating through the film festivals all around the globe for the last 12 months, and won awards all around the world, and I just recently screened at the Byron Bay International Film Festival, where the reception there was incredible. We've just been selected for the Sydney and Melbourne film festivals as well, but we have our official premiere on the Gold Coast here at POTA, the Home of the Arts Theatre, on December 14th at 5:30. So you can get tickets for that. If you jump on our website, you can find tickets. I'm sure you'll chuck a couple of links
Yeah, I'll put
underneath
links
the website, or jump on the HODA and just type in Impact and it will come up. And then, mate, after that, we're not really sure. Like I said, we're still winging it. That's like I do with everything in life. We're just winging it and see what happens, and hopefully it can get picked up. If there's anyone out there listening and, who's a distributor or, a production company who would like to maybe get this story out there, because it is a really inspirational story, and it's doing really good things. And, we'd love to get it out to as many people as we can. But at the moment, we're just going to do the premiere. It's going to show at these film festivals, and then hopefully, it might get picked up by a streaming service, or we might end up just putting it on YouTube or on our website to be downloaded.
Man, it's so inspiring to see how you've turned something that was, I don't want to say tragic's not the right word, but I guess painful and caused trauma in your life and everything like that. And I look forward to diving into that more when we've got Benny on as well. But you've turned it into this tool now, or this resource to help inspire so many other people. And it's just in such a unique way. I've never seen it done through this sort of lens. You see a lot of inspirational stuff with gym and I guess running and things like that. Maybe that's because that's the field I'm in, but to see now like this firsthand experience from skydiving and stuff, man, like as I said, I love watching it on YouTube. It scares the shit out of me. My hands start sweating now when I think about jumping out of a plane. But like the fact that you guys have lived to tell this story, and we can hear it from both angles. That's what I'm really, really looking forward to when we have yourself and Benny on, to hear what it was like through two people's minds, because same event, two different perspectives. And I think that's such a powerful tool for people to learn how to live a better life as well.
Yeah, completely different, man. And I can't take my hats off enough to Benny for him telling the story as the person who, caused the accident. It's just, I really admire that guy. Like, that's, not many people would do that, man. Put himself out in the public eye saying I made a mistake, and he's doing that to help people, and that's, it gets me emotional thinking about it every time. Like, what a fucking man to put that story out there.
100%.
I'm just a dude who's got a cool story. I got knocked out and I've survived, and I've just got this kind of cool story to tell around the pub these days, But it really is, and I'm, like I said, I was in the wrong place at the right time. I'd never take anything back, man. It was that moment in life was really special and important to me, and I'd never take that back, So yeah.
And just your mindset around it is incredible. You're still jumping as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know the right question to ask for that, but I'm like, why? Like if I'd had a near death experience, I probably would tend to be on the more cautionary side. You've sort of just lent back into it. What motivates you to keep doing that?
Man, if I was going to live life fearful after this, I might as well have died. Like I said, I jumped more after it. I went jumping more. I've lived life more. Like I was jumping 6 days later. I went back and I did my first skydive back. I was pretty banged up. Probably shouldn't have been jumping, but I was like,
yeah.
This is what makes me happy, man. That's what drives me, makes me happy, is jumping. And if I can't do that anymore because I'm scared, well, I might as well have just gone in,
For
because
sure.
that would have changed every way, every aspect I look at life. And so many people's lives are controlled by fear. And, I was like, fuck that. Let's fucking go ham. Let's go even harder at life.
I love it.
Yeah.
Mate, your mindset is incredible. I truly admire it, because I think a lot of people could take away so much from that. Where can people find you on socials? For everyone listening along as well, to make it easy, I'll have all the links in the show notes that you can just click and get involved. But if you're driving along and you want to follow Lucch, where can people find you out?
Yeah, mate. Just probably Instagram's probably the best for me, and it's just Lucch, Lucch. Look up Mark Lucchiari on there. Our website for the Impact is impactdoco.com. Our Instagram is Impact Movie. Unfortunately, we couldn't get all the same
Yeah.
handles. And our Facebook is Impact Film.
All right.
So yeah, mate. But yeah, look, Lucch is where you can find me. Everything's in the bio there, and follow my crazy journey through this amazing thing we call life.
Lucch, you're an inspiration, mate. You're an incredible man, and you're doing such incredible things for the world. And the fact that you're still continuing to expand what's possible in your life really inspires me. And I really appreciate your time today.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for giving me the platform to tell my story, and mate, right back at you. You know, you're doing incredible things yourself, and it's been such a pleasure to meet you, man, and share this space.